Welcome to Plot Twist Radio, the show where creativity, storytelling, and the unpredictable path of the creative life all collide. I'm your host, Erin Egnatz. There's something powerful about the music that shapes us, the songs that define our memories, the lyrics that somehow say exactly what we're feeling, even decades later. Today's guest has taken that magic and turned it into something truly unique. Tami is the founder of TLC Book Design, a 6-time author, and a self-proclaimed 80s music enthusiast who has built an entire creative world around nostalgia, storytelling, and connection. Her latest book, The Day We Found Yesterday, is more than just a children's book. It's an interactive music-filled experience designed to bring generations together through shared stories, hidden Easter eggs, and a love of the unforgettable sounds of the 80s. In this episode, we dive into her unexpected journey into authorship, the creative process behind building a book packed with visual puns and musical references, and the incredible story of how she secured real celebrity cameos, including legends like Robert Plant, inside her illustrations. We also talk about the deeper heart behind her work, preserving memories, bridging generational gaps, and reminding us why storytelling, whether through books or music, matters so much. So if you're an 80s music lover, a creative spirit, or someone who believes stories have the power to connect us across time, this one's for you. Hello and welcome to the show. Before we get started, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Erin. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Tami Dever. I am the owner and founder of TLC Book Design. We've been around for over 30 years, which is kind of weird to say, but I'm also proud of it. Also an author 6 times over, which is something I never thought I'd ever say. He's music lover, 80s pop culture lover. Listeners can't see this, but you can see a little bit of the pop culture stuff around me in my office is kind of a Gen X treasure trove.
Yes, I love it. I'm an 80s fan. Myself, I'm like a Durrani at heart. I just had Jennifer Gahan on, who is the wife of David Gahan. So that was pretty cool from Depeche Mode. And I think I have Ricky Rocket coming up. So I'm an 80s girl through and through.
Love it. We could talk for hours.
Absolutely. So, for listeners meeting you for the first time, how did you go from book designer to creating such a uniquely interactive children's book?
Some people think that that would be just a natural thing because I design books and coach authors for a living, but I never saw myself on the other end of that. I knew how to make it all work, but I never saw myself as a writer, publisher. Um, and honestly, one night I was going to bed and I heard God say, create an baby book for authors. I was like, excuse me, what? That's bizarre, but kind of a cool idea. And a few months later, my best friend who also works with me, she and I published our first book, which is my publishing journey. And it is truly like a baby book for authors to learn the process and journal through the process. So they have a memento. And that kind of started everything. My latest 4 books, I guess, are all these music related, 70s, 80s music quiz books. And now my new one, The Day We Found Yesterday, is a children's book for Gen X. So you don't really have to have kids to enjoy it, but kids would enjoy it too.
Absolutely. I did enjoy it. When you sent me over a copy, I was like, yeah, this is this is my kind of book. I love it. So, at what moment did The Day We Found Yesterday stop being an idea and become a you have to make this project?
I wish I could remember what started the project, honestly. Everybody wants to know, and I'd like to know too. My brain works in lyrics and in song titles and in band titles and puns, and I can't stop it. So I had created a 2-book series called Ultimate Mixtape, and they're music quiz books. And they're super fun. So my brain was already going there. And for whatever reason, I started thinking, I don't know if I thought children's book first or just how fun it would be to hide visual puns in a book. And that started out as, wow, I've got this really cool idea. It could be a cool children's book. And I want the illustrations to be just jam packed with stuff and a dove that's crying for princes when doves cry and some shoes with the word goody below it, just lots of puns. And I thought, gosh, I can't pull this off if I don't have a good story to go with it. So the idea, I think, came first in the story. The story was torture. It took like 4 years for me to actually write this 32-page children's book. You'd think that would just come out, but honing it is a crazy process. And I knew if the story wasn't good, the book wouldn't sell. So just kind of evolved. I started out writing in my Trapper Keeper,
Really?
and that turned into Google Docs because we got to share things more easily than mailing my Trapper Keeper to my illustrator.
Yes, absolutely. You, the concept, did it start as like music or did it start more of like a nostalgia type base?
I live in the 80s music world. So it was definitely a music thing. That's where my expertise, if you will, is. So I always wanted it to be music, but I want to keep the 80s alive. And the 80s music is so diverse. It's so free. It's so different than the stuff that's out now. And it speaks loudly, the genius of it. Even the silly songs are genius in ways, and the genius of it speaks so loudly because even kids these days love 80s music,
Hmm.
and they have 80s songs on their playlists, and I thought, "Wow, we've gotta keep make sure this doesn't die." So part of my job is to just share this music between generations. And the story itself really focuses on shared stories between the grandparents and the grandchildren. And I treasure that relationship with my late grandma, especially in my grandparents I didn't know. My grandma on the other side, I barely knew my grandfather on my dad's side. My grandfather on my mom's side passed away when I was in high school. So my grandmother there, she was the one that I could learn her stories from. And to be able to share stories with grandparents is something that I don't know that grandkids understand how what a big deal that is and how important that is. Not only for the grandparent to share stories, but for the grandkid to share stories with the grandparents. And so reading this story together and the grandparent like giggling at something and the grandchild is like, "What's so funny, grandma?" And for her to say, "Oh, well, do you see that dove that's crying? Well, there was a song called When Doves Cry that was really popular, and I loved it in high school, and now you're sharing stories inadvertently, and it's like, we should play that song. Let's see if you know it. Do you like it?" And then to take that a step further and have that grandparent say, "Listen, what's a song that you like today?" Because we love to share our stories, but we also have to listen. And I wanna nurture that in addition to the whole 80s music thing.
Absolutely. You bring up a really good point because I lost my grandmother last year, and as I was thinking back to all of our conversations, I learned so much from her. Got a lot of my taste from her. She was more of the eccentric one, way more than my parents were, and we just connected, and you don't realize it until a lot of times it's too late. How much of an impact they had on you.
It's so true. I cherish the memory, and I'm grateful she wrote a little booklet with a few photographs with the help of my aunt and left it for all of us and just memories of when she was young, and I treasure that.
It Nothing more valuable than the hand-me-downs and the messages from those that have left us. So, we'll cut and get away from that before we end up both crying. So, kids today grow up with unlimited access to music, but like you pointed out, the music today is just not as interesting, and the '80s really have that spark. Even my children who are, 12, 13, 14, they love '80s music. They couldn't tell you what was out right now. Like my son is all into the hard rock, the heavy metal type from the '80s, while my daughter, I drag her to my Duran Duran shows and she loves it even though she says she doesn't. What do you think it is about the '80s specifically?
I don't know if we can ever pinpoint it exactly, but things were new. I'm a keyboard player and all this electronic stuff was starting to come out. Things were also still analog. I mean, they were still recording on tape. And there's just something about that. It's raw, it's genuine. There's no auto tune. It was this time where you went from analog to digital stuff, but not, I wish I could even explain it. There were so many things happening. We had rock, we had disco, we had punk, we had rap, we have had new wave and pop, and it was all just music.
Mm.
Like it was all on the same radio station. So you had no idea what was coming next. We didn't just stream what we wanted, we listened to the radio and we shared that experience. Like we were all listening to the radio and then to MTV. And I didn't and we bought the albums and we bought the cassettes. We joined the BMG and Columbia House record clubs, and there was something for everybody out there. And there may be that now, but everything to me sounds the same now. And I always wonder, like, can that person really sing or was that digitized? I don't know. But the people back then could sing. And if they didn't sing, Milli Vanilli could dance their butts off. So,
There is that, yes. So true. So let's kind of pivot to your writing process. What is that like?
oh man, my writing process is kind of a brain dump. I get an idea and I start writing something and just see where it's going to go. I have ideas for about 8 other books sitting there. I don't know that they'll ever come to fruition, and it's okay. But when I have an idea, I'll start it. I'll even start some chapters if I have that. Like I'm a very theme oriented person, so my quiz books all have themed chapters. So I'll start writing things down, which is a little bit why I struggled with The Day We Found Yesterday, because there aren't chapters, there aren't themes, it's a story. You can only, gosh, I mean, you really need to keep a children's book under 1,000 words. And these days, they'd even say 500 words. Well, I'm way closer to 1,000, but I started out with 3 or 4,000, and it took me years to hone that and pare it down. And I would shelve it and say, this is ridiculous. I'm not a children's book writer. This is not going to happen. And then I'd get it back out, and certain people and certain instances would inspire me to bring it up again. And I finally, like a year ago, so I released the book in September last year of 2025. And the year before that, about that time, I finally got it out and I said, I'm going to do this. I had encouragement from several people, including clients, who said, I think you need to do this. So I did. And I got the story to where I was pretty much okay with it, but I still knew it wasn't perfect. I'm a perfectionist. And I got the rough illustrations from my illustrator. I lost my mind. Like, you must be kidding. This is amazing. And I instantly did a little Wayne's World thing where I was like, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. And it inspired me to change my story again. Not the whole thing, but that's what inspired me to finish the story and go, now the story is worthy of the rest of the book. And I don't know if other authors have felt that way, but it was an amazing thing for me to go, wow, like this is coming to life and my story's not worth it. And I need to fix that because there's no turning back now.
You're in the thick of it, right? So, how do you even like how did you get the cameos, the celebrity cameos? Because that is very, very interesting to me.
Yes, so there are 9 celebrities being in plain sight in the illustrations of my book. I thought this was gonna be is a really big deal for me. What I realized since I published is nobody understands that you have to have written permission from these people for them to appear in your illustrations. So other people are like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool." I'm like, "No, you have no idea how cool this is." That was one of these I rarely dream big moments, but I was gonna dream big and thought, gosh, it wasn't planned ahead of time. We started doing the illustrations and we thought, gosh, what if we had musicians as some of the shop owners in the story? Like, well, that'd be cool. Like, okay, I'm gonna try. Tell our kids all the time if it's always a no if you don't try. So I spent so much time last year finding managers and publicists of the people that I thought would be good in my book. I had a makeshift spreadsheet because I'm allergic to spreadsheets. Everybody who knows me knows this. So I just had lists of who would be good. And every person has to have a purpose. I didn't just want to slap them in there. I wanted them to have a purpose, whether it was a nod to their song or a reason that they were in that spot. And the very first musician who said yes to me was Robert Plant, like
Really?
Led Zeppelin's Robert Plant. I screamed. I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And if I thought if Robert Plant did it, everybody else is going to say yes because he's amazing. And he had a song in the 80s called Big Log. So I have him sitting on a big log around a campfire. So those are the kind of nods. I've been in touch with Martha Quinn, original VJ from MTV. She endorsed one of my other books. And so I reached out to her and she said, yes, I'll have a cameo. She actually has two cameos in the book. And she endorsed my book, which was super cool.
Oh, yeah.
One day I reached out and said, hey, do you think the other VJs would say yes to having like a reunion in my book? And she thought that would be a good thing. The next morning, she emailed me and said, hey, do you mind if I reach out to them? I'm like, go for it. That's fantastic. So they're in there. Corey Hart has always been one of my favorites. And he's in my book. So I did a big scream fest when that happened. And there are a few that said no or didn't get back to me that I still am kinda crushed over. Really wanted Bret Michaels to be sitting in the doctor's office holding a thorny rose with blood coming out of his finger, and we had him drawn in and ready to go up until the last week and had to replace him with just a generic person, and nobody else would know, but, I'm like, "Oh, he looks so cool sitting in the waiting room."
Oh, I bet that would be cool, though. Oh, yeah. I thought that was such a cool like, a very, very neat concept. The Spotify playlist for each spread, it's fascinating. Did the music shape the scenes, or did the scenes come first?
So the scenes came first. I had pages and pages and pages of ideas for these Easter eggs, and some of them were very specific for each store. Mm, I guess we didn't really explain in a nutshell. Three siblings overhear their grandparents lamenting the loss of something from a long time ago. The kids don't know what it is, but they go on a secret treasure hunt to find this. They go into the small town with permission, of course, and ask all the shop owners, "Do you know what Nana and Papa lost a long time ago?" And none of the shop owners know, but they all have stories to tell about way back when. So they go to all these shops. So every shop had specific items that just had to be in there. I mean, the travel store had to have a poster that said Africa. And kids know that song these days, so that has to be a big one, right? Jacob's Ladder had to be in the MC's hardware store. There's just certain things, and then we had a whole list of other things that I just told my just outstanding illustrator, Missy J. Like, these are extras. If you figure out where to fit them in, put them in there, and we'll go from there. So definitely, it was the Easter eggs that had to fit in these shops, and then the whole Spotify playlist was afterwards. And like, people need to hear the soundtrack for this book, and there are over 26 hours worth of songs on those lists.
That's impressive.
I could listen to it all too. I really could. It's the best songs. What I have to ask this. What is your favorite song from then?
Man, I couldn't possibly pick just one because I love so many of the genres, and every probably hour I'd pick a different one. There I love Huey Lewis and the News. Their song "Do You Believe in Love" is one song that I don't care how bad my day might be, that song makes me smile and feel like everything's fine. It's happy, it's uplifting, it brings me back to that time and yet still here. So that would be one that is always, always a good one to listen to.
That is a good one. That is. So you said that you have, several other books. Do you wanna tell everyone about them?
Well, my ultimate mixtape quiz books are probably my most popular. There's the pink one, the first one, and the green one, second one. The first one is all 70s and 80s music. The quizzes are not your typical multiple choice. There's not a single multiple choice question in that quiz book. I used to search for quizzes like that online and I'd print them out and I'd do them for fun. And I ran out, literally ran out, couldn't find more one day and thought, but I could make my own. And COVID hit, and that summer I wrote Ultimate Mixtape. And probably a year or 2 later, I realized there were so many songs and artists that I missed that I had to do side B. So that is 70s, 80s, and early, early 90s. And like I said, there's themes, there's a lot of wordplay going on in there. So people it's fun to play on your own. And I've also got instructions if you want to play them as a group. It's awesome for trivia nights, for class reunions, for just hanging out by the pool or the campfire. They're a lot of fun. They're my babies.
That does sound like fun. My husband and I always like to do the guess the song on YouTube or whatever, so That is our kind of thing. I'm gonna have to pick those up.
They're fun. Before that one, I actually did one called I Like Big Books and I Cannot Lie.
Love it.
And it's really geeky. It was real niche. It's kind of geared toward people who love the book publishing industry and love classic music. It was kind of a calling card for my TLC book design company, but I rewrote songs kind of like Weird Al. I'm the publishing industry Weird Al, which is, I'm so proud.
You should
But
be. You should be.
they're really fun for a really small niche of people, but that sparked everything else. So yay,
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere, right? So,
definitely.
where can the audience find you?
I'm online kind of all over. My company is TLC. I have TLC Book Design on the professional side, and then I have Totally Cool 80s. For everything else, you'll find me on all the social channels, mostly Totally Cool 80s. I have a Facebook page for TLC Book Design as well. I have websites for both of those, the simple sites. And I also have yesterdaybook.com that's just for my new book. There is a free downloadable answer key to all of the Easter eggs for the Yesterday book called the Backstage Pass. So you can go there and I tell people and they're like, no, I want to find them all myself. But it's a lot of fun.
Awesome, and I'll make sure that all of those are in the show notes for everyone to explore. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I love this.
This has been great. Like I said, I think we could talk for hours.
Oh yeah, I could literally talk for hours about 80s music. I'm not even lying. So, thank you again for joining me.
Honestly, I feel like we could have talked about 80s music for another 3 hours. What I loved most about this conversation is how Tammy blends creativity with intention. The Day We Found Yesterday isn't just a clever concept, it's a reminder to slow down, to share stories, and to really listen to the people who came before us. And the ones coming after us. From hidden musical Easter eggs to heartfelt moments between grandparents and grandchildren, her work captures something we don't always think about until it's too late: the importance of connection, memory, and legacy. If you want to check out Tammy's books, her quiz series, or dive into her interactive world of music and storytelling, I'll have all of her links in the show notes, including where you can find The Day We Found Yesterday, and even grab the backstage pass to uncover all of its hidden details. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow, rate, and share Plot Twist Radio. It helps more people discover these incredible stories, and trust me, there are plenty more twists to come. Until next time, keep listening, keep creating, and maybe throw on an 80s playlist while you're at it. Might I recommend Duran Duran?